Hello everyone and welcome to my genre, form, and style project. I chose a quote for the title of my project, and it says either they don't know, don't show, or don't care about what's going on in the hood. I specifically chose this quote simply because I think it's John Singleton's main theme across the board on all three of his films, and this quote came from his very first film, Boys in the Hood. So I hope you guys enjoy. John Singleton, writer, producer, and director. So who is John Singleton? John Singleton is an African American director who wrote, produced, and directed his first feature film that earned him an Oscar nomination. He was born in Los Angeles, California. He went to USC's School of Cinematic Arts and then studied in USC's filmic writing program under the guidance of Margaret Mayring. And what's very inspirational about John Singleton is that he was, I believe, the youngest to be nominated for an Academy Award at age 23 or 24 at the time for Best Picture for Boys in the Hood. So these are Singleton's first three movies that he produced, wrote, and directed, and that is Boys in the Hood, which debuted in 1991, Poetic Justice, which debuted in 1993, and Higher Learning, which debuted in 1995. And I believe that Singleton kind of dominated the film industry in the early 90s with these three powerful films. Singleton also produced and directed movies such as Baby Boy, Too Fast, Too Furious, which starred the late Paul Walker, Four Brothers, and the movie Abduction, which was actually filmed here in Pittsburgh. Black films. These were in quotation marks simply because there was an article that I came across on the Hollywood Reporter website, and it expressed how white directors are making black films. And John Singleton thought that most movies today doesn't even have African American influence or producer that's even involved in some of these films. And some of those examples are the movie 42, which centers around the story of Jackie Robinson, and the movie The Help. So with that being said, with the success of black films made by white directors, it's become harder for African American writers and directors in the film industry. Singleton theorizes that because black films, quote unquote, are successful through screenplay writers and white directors and producers, that there's really no need to have that African American influence or footprint in the film or the story because of the success of quote unquote black films. But he praises directors like Steve McQueen and Lee Daniels for movies such as 12 Years a Slave, Lee Daniels' The Butler, and Precious. He praises white directors also such as Steven Spielberg and Taylor Hackford, who directed The Color Purple and Ray. Singleton claims that they kept the true essence of an African American story with help from producer Quincy Jones and novelist Alice Walker with The Color Purple, and Ray Charles, the musician himself, that helped him with the movie Ray. So meet Trey, Ricky, and Doughboy from the movie Boys in the Hood. And this stars Cuba Gooding Jr., Ice Cube, and Morris Chestnut. And it's about Trey growing up in South Central LA with best friend Ricky and his brother Doughboy. And it kind of centers around also the Crips and Bloods rivalry, which was at its peak in the late 80s and early 90s. And but Trey's inspired by his father, who kind of keeps him out of the gang life. And unfortunately, at the end, we have the deaths of Ricky and Doughboy. So meet Justice and Lucky from Poetic Justice, and it stars Janet Jackson and Tupac Shakur. And stories in around Justice, and she witnesses her boyfriend's death at the very beginning of the film. And so she writes and recites poems to her friends to ease the pain of his death. And in the midst of the movie, she meets Lucky and falls in love with them as they are on their way to Oakland, California in a mail truck. So John Singleton and Maya Angelou. So Maya Angelou was a contributing factor in the movie Poetic Justice. When writing Poetic Justice, Singleton had a hard time writing poetry for the movie. He consulted Maya Angelou, who gave him permission to use her infamous poems like Phenomenal Woman. She also appears in the film giving a short improv monologue about the youth in today's generation. So meet Malik, Fudge, and Kristen from the movie Higher Learning. And it stars Omar Epps, Ice Cube, and Christy Swanson. And it's about 3 college students who deals with racism and discrimination on a college campus. And each are trying to find their own identity. There are other characters within the film that are intertwined with these 3 main characters. And they all and each have their own story about racism and discrimination. Whether that's Jewish or being a lesbian or gay, it's across the board. And it's a very interesting film. So the similarities that I got from all these, from these 3 films rather, is racism, violence, and crime, struggling of African Americans, the love and togetherness that kind of forms within all these films. And I noticed that 2 out of the 3 movies specifically takes place in South Central. And then there's the deaths of 3 characters that help shape the main characters of the story. And these 3 supporting characters, during their deaths, they're all witnessed by the main characters. And I've noticed that Singleton also puts like this dramatic, powerful, slow motion and silent like scenes within each movie during the death scenes. So with that being said, I want to show you guys 3 clips of each movie. This is the death of Ricky, and to set the scene up, Ricky had a verbal altercation with a blood gang member in which his brother Doughboy kind of intervened to prevent anything going down that night. And so with that being said, the blood gang member had wanted to take revenge out on one of the 2 brothers, and unfortunately Ricky, he spotted Ricky and kills him. So this is the death scene of Ricky. Okay, so I'm going to just stop the scene right there. As you can see, Trey, he's the guy in the denim. He witnesses the death of Ricky. And it's a very powerful scene in the movie. And it kind of shapes how each character winds up at the end. So next is Poetic Justice. Now I could not find the death scene of Justice's boyfriend Markel at the very beginning. But I did find a trailer which I thought was very interesting, and I'm just going to play it for you guys so you guys get the gist of what the movie is about.
To escape the violence of the streets, she needed the poetry in her heart.
You've got to move on. There's another man out there somewhere.
His name is Lucky.
What y'all niggas doing?
Looking for some busters to jack.
To face the madness around him, all he had was the music in his soul. Fate brought them together.
This is Justice. Justice, this is Lucky. And you already know Chicago.
What's up, baby?
Baby.
Anger kept them apart.
I'm a black woman, okay? I deserve respect.
Walk your ass home.
But for both of them,
Girl, you know he tripping because he like you.
the road ahead was the only way to leave the pain behind.
Heard from a friend today, and she said you were in town. Suddenly the memories came back to me in my mind. How can I be strong? I lost myself. Time and time you said that I'll never fall in love again.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop the clip right there. And I really enjoyed this movie. It was my first time watching it for this project. And I really liked it. It was a very good love movie, and I recommend it. You know, if anybody wants to take a look at it, do it. You'll definitely cry. But anyway, so moving on. This next clip is from the movie Higher Learning, and this is the death of Deja. Now, Deja is a character in the movie, and she is Malik's girlfriend. They met during a track meet on campus. And the person you see right there, his name is Remy, and Remy was kind of this geeky, nerdy kid at first, and he was the roommate of Malik's friend Fudge, who was played by Ice Cube. And with all the discrimination and racism that's going on campus, he kind of integrates himself into this neo-Nazi group on campus and shaving his head. So in this scene, he is trying to commit a mass murder during this peace rally on campus. And so in the midst of everything, Deja gets shot. So I'm just going to play that clip for you guys. Okay, so I'm gonna just stop the clip right there. As you can see, Deja gets shot, and towards the end, obviously Remy, he doesn't get away with what he did, and it's a very powerful film. I recommend everyone watch this film. So the differences that I tried to choose or pick out across all three films is that 2 out of the 3 films had tragic death scenes that happened towards the end of the films. One happened in the beginning. And each main character is different with different personal agendas on surviving their situations. John Singleton's footprints. It is said that Singleton broke the barrier when he created Boys in the Hood for more people to come out and create similar stories. He wanted to help, inspire, and focus on the issues of the Black community, specifically in South Central. He wanted to create films that most could relate to and show how violence, crime, and racism has impacted Black communities. And Singleton grew up in South Central, so he had personal experiences of the street life and crime that led him to create such movies. So in conclusion, John Singleton, he creates his films from experiences. His messages on his 3 earlier works are very clear across the board. And what I've learned when researching John Singleton, it's rumored that he's going to be possibly making a Tupac Shakur biopic in which he will write, produce, and direct. So it will be his first time probably writing an actual feature-length film and actually it being directed and produced for a long while. So thank you guys. Thanks for your attention. I appreciate your time. I hope you enjoyed my project. Hope you learned a little bit about John Singleton, and I can't wait to read you all's feedback.